Hello YouTube, and thanks for clicking. I am Evil Stepdad, and this is my very first inaugural video, Stepdad drawing random stuff. Today I'm going to be drawing one of my very favorite Marvel characters, is Wolverine, and I grew up on this character, and it's always been one of my very favorites, so I hope you enjoy watching too. I started out just drawing on 8.5 by 11 sheet of typing paper, just using a plain old number 2 pencil. And obviously the first thing that I did was just start very roughly blocking out my pose and character. I know it's a little bit hard to see because it's so light. And you know, I always kind of tend to start with the face and work my way outwards. And a lot of people will tell you that that's wrong, but you know, whenever you're drawing, you just do whatever makes you happy, and whatever method of workflow works best for you is fine. And ultimately, you know, if your drawing looks right, it probably is. I have a tendency to over pencil, and I like to block in like the blacks and the shading like pretty early on in the drawing phase. And like a lot of people will they'll completely flesh out their character and get you know, with like blue line pencils or whatever, but I tend to not do that. I just kind of jump right in there and go after it. And you know, I wasn't really sure when I started this if I was going to do the traditional like brown Wolverine costume or the blue and yellow, so I was just kind of winging it in the beginning. But I think ultimately, like, I wound up on the blue and yellow. Here in the shoulder pads, it's kind of hard to see, but you know, I always wondered when I looked at this, like, what the heck ever held those things on? It kind of added like a hint of a belt strap underneath that thing. And you know, I'm not really sure why Wolverine ever had shoulder pads to begin with. I mean, he wasn't like a football player, but I think like back in the 80s, 90s, like shoulder pads were the it thing. And this is kind of an old school drawing, so if you were to like go back and look at like some old Jim Lee and stuff, they always had these like really shiny shoulder pads with like reflection lines in the inks that you could see. Yeah, I think when you're picking your subject matter, your character, the posing of these characters is really probably as important or even more important than like the costume or the visual aesthetics of the character. And you'd never see like you'd never see Wolverine folding laundry. So usually every time you see him in like a money shot kind of action pose, he's always like bent over or crouched in a, you know, like animal like fashion. When you're drawing your hands, I think a lot of people get very intimidated by the hands. They're really difficult to draw, and they present a whole unique set of challenges. But one of the biggest things you can do to make your life a little bit easier is to, first of all, just like focus on the scale of the hand, because you know, like, the biggest problem with a lot of people's hands is that they're either way too big or way too small. And if you get the scale of it pretty good, then the details don't necessarily have to be, you know, quite as dead on. This kneecap here is it's a little bit weird because it's kind of foreshortened and out in front, so like his kneecap here is like literally the same size as his head. I try not to get too hung up on the exact anatomy in poses like this. I mean, if you were really scrutinizing this drawing, you'd see like a lot of the parts don't really connect to anything. You know, like the head might as well just be cut and pasted on there, because there's no neck, and you know, like, I don't know where the bottom of this thigh is going. It's not really connecting to his hips the way that it ought to. But you know, ultimately, you find out like once your whole drawing gets put together, you know, it doesn't really seem to matter quite as much. Feet. Again, you know, feet can be a lot like the hands. You know, the most important thing is that they're grounding the character, and like a foot should look like, you know, it should look like something is able to stand on it. And a lot of times, you know, you see like these little tiny dainty feet on huge muscular guys, and you know, guys, especially like a stocky guy like Wolverine's not gonna have little dainty feet. He's gonna have like big heavy, you know, mud stomping feet. You might have noticed that this video, it's going by pretty quickly, so it's obviously this video has been sped up. It's about 5 times as fast as what I'm actually drawing it. This drawing took about 30 minutes or so to draw. So one of the weird things in foreshortening on Wolverine is the claws. You know, usually in the comic books you see the claws are like in that front on pose, they're kind of curved like that. And I don't know why that is, but it's just what they always seem to look like. So I draw it that way too. You know, another important thing about this character to remember is that he's a very hairy guy. And when you go through and you draw the hair, like especially on the arms and stuff, you know, you can draw them in the same direction that the shapes are going. It adds quite a bit of volume, you know, and dimension to those shapes. So here in this area where the lower leg meets with the hip, it's kind of a complicated area, and you get to cheat a little bit when characters are crouching. You can just draw like a big shadow. You can just fill in all of the weird complicated areas that don't make a lot of sense. You know, and then we're back to this last back leg. It you know, if I went and did all of the detail on it, it would have kind of blocked up all of the detail that I did with the hand and the claws. So I just kind of let that go and let it be a less important part of the drawing. And well, that's where I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm glad you stayed and watched the whole thing if you're still with us, and if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.